Good. Okay, so today we're going to do a overview of the foundation and then talk a little bit about the assignment, what that entails. So integrating learning and shifting the paradigm. And as you know, I love a quote. So, true connection begins where control ends. And when we honor the horse's nature, we discover our own. And what I would like to say about that is that the interconnectedness of everything and everyone, it cannot be underestimated. And we learn from everything and everyone in our environment. And I think it's a key part of learning that we understand that. So we spoke about introducing the Rewild principles. Then we went on to observation as a connective power. Understanding instincts and purpose in human and horse. Then the nature v nurture, and exploring the roles of instinct, again, between human and horse. Then emotional intelligence, the key to connection in Rewild coaching. And now I know we didn't do that until the end, but I think this is a better evolution of the foundation. So if I was doing it again, I would have put the emotional intelligence before the end. Yeah. And then going on to evolution and the prey-predator relationship, and of course, patience, awareness, and trust. So an introduction to the Rewild horsemanship and human purpose. We spoke about the Rewild coaching that integrates instinct, awareness, and purpose. Humans and horses thrive when trust is the foundation of interaction and aligning with nature's rhythms that foster connection. So by introducing these principles, we discussed how aligning our instincts and awareness with purpose forms the foundation of any trusting relationship. And I think this approach encourages both humans and horses to thrive in that shared rhythm. If you can, and we spoke about the rhythm of life being rhythmic when things are good and non-rhythmic when things are, I don't want to say bad, because play is also non-rhythmic, and that is not a bad thing. You know, play is also a good thing. Right. But there is a definite distinction between rhythm and non-rhythm when we're talking about Rewild horsemanship and that human purpose within that conversation. So observation as connection. So observation is the gateway to understanding, and I cannot emphasize this enough. The more we are aware, the more we observe, the more we will understand the small nuances that are layered underneath all of the communication that horses do. Horses are communicating through subtle behaviors, and our role is to notice them. Not necessarily intervene or try and change them in the moment, but to notice them and absorb what is going on so that we can respond and not react. And being present in observation strengthens that bond. So it's a bit like seeing to really see, not just to look. Okay? So focusing on the power of observation, we learned that quietly observing our horses, we can pick up on those subtle cues that reveal their emotions and intentions, because the two are linked. And this practice will not only enhance our understanding, but it also deepens our connection through that shared presence, through building a shared space where both horse and human can be present together. So understanding instincts and purpose in humans and horses, that's where we moved on to next. So instincts influence behavior and reactions in both humans and horses. And this is where we have shared values. Purpose brings clarity and intention to interactions. And I think that's pretty clear. When you know what you want to do, you're able to take that first step to that interaction with better understanding. And reflecting on our instincts can reveal alignment or disconnection. So if we can understand and reflect on the instincts that the steps that we took via our instincts, we can understand whether we were aligned or whether we were out of alignment. So by exploring the roles of instincts in shaping behaviors and reactions, we are recognizing our own instinctual patterns. And once we can recognize our own instinctual patterns, we recognize those of our horses. And this helps create interactions that are guided by purpose and intention. We then moved on to the nature v nurture, which is the role of instincts, another part of that all interconnected parts of this foundation conversation. So instincts are innate, but experience shapes our behavior. So we're all born with instincts, but how we use them and how we can, which goes into that emotional intelligence, how we can manage them is part of our experiential living and learning. And this shapes our behavior. And understanding the balance of nature and nurture allows for adaptability. So when we understand what is nature and what is nurture, or if we can somehow encourage one or the other to create balance, then we are allowed to, then we can afford the horse an environment of adaptability to their own, to be a horse for horses' sake. And horses respond often, or horses' responses often reflect their lived experiences and trust levels. I think this is really important because a lot of the times we attribute behavior to nurture or to nature when really it's part of their lived experience, which has created a different response based on the trust that they have or do not have. And I think that one point alone is super important. So when we look at the interplay of nurture and nature, while instincts are fundamental, experiences shape behavior in truly profound ways. And the influence that we have on those experiences is, it cannot be underestimated how much influence we have. And if we can understand this balance between the two, between the nature and the nurture, we can adapt our approach to meet our horses where they are emotionally and mentally. We know where they are physically, they're right there. But what we need to do is ensure that the emotional and mental part of this of the triangle is all coming together, because you know the famous saying is their feet might be here but their mind is over there. Or if their mind is over there, you've lost them. It doesn't matter where they are physically. So meeting our horses where they are emotionally and mentally allows us to bring them all back to the same point and therefore be present in that moment. So emotional intelligence is one of the keys, if not the key, to connection. Emotional intelligence involves recognizing and regulating emotions. The horses respond to emotional congruence and authenticity. And developing emotional intelligence enhances mutual trust. So those three are much more based on the human. And why I tried to focus the emotional intelligence on the human in this foundational level is to seek it in a horse, or to understand it in a horse, is very difficult unless you can be really responsive to your own emotional intelligence. And I think people get really worried when we talk about the word intelligence, because they align it with stupidity or being a fool. And emotional intelligence is really not about that. It's about being self-aware. It's about understanding why you're responding. It's about being aware of when you need self-care, when the response is actually a reaction, all those things. So I think that it's very key to address that up front with people, because the moment you use the word intelligence and talk about not having emotional intelligence, they automatically start thinking, well, that must mean I'm stupid. No, some very incredibly intelligent people do not have emotional intelligence. And I think that we need to understand in this foundational stage our own, or become aware of it. This is about development and growth. It is not about, okay, yeah, I get it now, because we're all growing and we're all developing all the time. There's no end to this journey. And I think that's the beautiful thing for me. So that role of emotional intelligence within the Rewild coaching, I think, is going to be really important. It's going to be one of the things that is going to developing this foundation. I've realized that this part of it will be fundamental. It's going to be one of the pillars. And by tuning into our emotions and responding authentically, because it's also about vulnerability, they all go hand in hand. You can't be authentic and not vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, you are authentic. And being okay with that, and knowing that those two things is a huge leap to emotional intelligence. And once we are aware of that, we can create a safe and trusting environment for our horses. Because emotional awareness, I think, is a cornerstone of a meaningful connection. So then we started, we talked a little bit about the evolution and the prey-predator relationship. So humans and horses share an evolutionary relationship shaped by survival instincts. And shifting the prey-predator dynamic fosters collaboration, and awareness and calm energy can signal safety to our horses. So by looking at the evolutionary bond between humans and horses and understanding the relationship, we can consciously shift from prey-predator mindset to one of collaboration and mutual awareness. It doesn't have to be them and us. We can coexist in harmony by understanding all that I've just talked about before, the nature nurture, the emotional intelligence, etc. And this shift is another building block to the trust and the horse feeling safe, because we know that horses fundamentally, safety is the place they want to inhabit all the time. So this brings me nicely onto the patience, awareness, and again, trust. So trust is built through patience and consistent actions. Awareness allows us to respond and not react. And horses thrive given the time to process and understand. So by highlighting patience, awareness, and trust as the cornerstones of Rewild coaching, trust is not demanded, but earned through consistent, thoughtful reactions. And by allowing our horses time to process and find the response, rather than rushing them and getting a reaction, we nurture that foundation of mutual awareness. And you must have, I've been there for sure, that when I've rushed and got a reaction, you might have got exactly what you wanted on paper. You might have got that transition from walk to trot, and it might have been good. But when it is a response to the ask, it's beautiful. That is the difference when we're talking about understanding that patience and awareness of what we're asking and what they're giving. So to summarize, observation and awareness as tools for connection. Emotional intelligence and instinct align, build trust. Collaboration replaces that prey-predator dynamic, and patience fosters safety and mutual awareness.